Welcome everyone, NTO Sports here. Episode 140, 140. More football. We got more football for you. Divisional round, NFL playoffs start this weekend, beginning on Saturday. So we will preview those games. Plus, UFC is back. First pay-per-view of the year. UFC 311. A lot of big fights. So Lawrence will run down through these fights. Hopefully, win you guys some money. Some big parlays, I'm sure, are coming your way. And we might sneak in a little bit of basketball. But with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. All right, everyone, we're back. NFL divisional weekend is here. The first games, believe the first game we got is 18th. Chiefs, Texans. This one will be on ESPN and ABC. Let me share my screen so you guys can see. Lawrence, who do you have in this one? Chiefs, number 1 seed, Texans. A lot of teams wanted to play Texans because they thought they were weak, from all the injuries and whatnot. But they put the they put the Chargers in their place. Who do you have in this one?
Honestly, for some odd reason, I want to take the Texans, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a little bit of a miracle run they're going to go on. Honestly, in my opinion, the 38-0 loss is going to be more damning than we actually believe. Because I know they didn't play their starters, but regardless, morale in a locker room after getting dogged 38-0 can't be great. But you did get a week off. But then how much, you know, Playboy or party stuff these guys get into in that short little span of a break? We don't know. Are their heads all focused in? All it takes is one loose wheel for the whole thing to fall. I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I mean, crazier things have happened. But I'm going to take the Chiefs um, for the more logical reason. Just, I don't know if the Texans O line. I think it was one of those I can get it done for one game, and Herbert just has one of the worst quarterbacking performances of all time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chiefs in this one too. I think in this matchup you can honestly say the Texans are outmatched. Not only because the Chiefs are a really good team, but the Zebras will be there in full force to see a particular outcome. And they're in Arrowhead, as you can see at the bottom. Game time weather is predicted to be about 24 degrees. Texans play in a dome. So I think that will have something to do with it as well. Those players not used to playing in not adverse conditions, but playing in the cold isn't the best. All right. I mean, some of us have been there, done that. So, yeah, I'm going to go Chiefs in this one. I wouldn't, I mean, I'm not touching any of the, this is a game in gambling terms. I probably wouldn't touch Lawrence because I mean, 41.5 is not a lot, but who knows what could happen, who knows? So I think this is one that I would stay away from, but I don't know how you feel.
I just feel like you just put it. I feel like there's too much about this game that I just don't want to touch. Like this is easy. Like we have four other games, or sorry, three other games. We have four games in total. This is
Uh-huh.
just one of them that you either put a little bit of a bet on, maybe just prayer prop it. Don't take any kind of straight outcome, and just move on to the next one. You'll have a better fight, or not fight, sorry, a better people. I got all this MMA talk in my head. A better playoff game right behind it. So you don't really need to mess with it. You can just leave it alone, like you said. But particularly, don't think it's really worth it. If you're gonna take anything, take the under because Houston's defense it was pretty good, and maybe they can get
Yeah.
one more good game out of them.
Yeah, I agree. There is a really good game, like you alluded to, after this one. Lions, Commanders, 1 seed. the Detroit Lions playing against the Washington Commanders. Kind of a Cinderella story. They were not the best team last year, drafted number 2. Got Jaden Daniels, did a whole 180. He has this team playing really well. Played well in the I guess was it a comeback? I don't know. He led the game winning drive against Tampa Bay. So gotta give a huge props to Jaden. He is poised, doesn't break under pressure. Who do you have in this one, Lawrence?
I'm gonna give it to Jared Goff. Um, just because he's kind of been there already. They're at home. I think the Lions are just a little bit more well-rounded. When I say that, running game wise, we know this. The Commanders have a tough time stopping the run. And first thing that we're gonna see is Pinay Soul opening up lanes, Gibbs running through them, uh, guys hitting open, just getting open down the field because the O line can protect them. Um, we just said that Lattimore got cooked by Mike Evans. What do you think he's going to do against Amon Ra?
Yep.
I think it's going to be a defensive loss. I think that's what the Commanders are going to run into. Now, do I think their offense can keep them in it? Oh, yeah, because there's nothing about Detroit's defense do I see shut down. Um, let's pack up the bags and go home against your team. So, by all means, Washington will stay in it. It's probably going to be an over, but I think the Lions win and probably cover.
Okay, fair enough. I got the Lions in this one too. I think this is the case of going back to last year. You know, Texans were a lot of us thought a year early. I think in this situation right here, the Commanders are a year early as well. Like you said, their offense can keep them in the game, but their defense is going to have a little bit of trouble stopping the basically a 3-headed monster. You got to stop the run game of Gibbs. You got to stop the passing game with Laporta and Amon Ra and Jameson Williams, all those guys. And you got to make Jared Goff make mistakes. And if you can't get to him, you can't generate pressure, can't make him make mistakes, you're going to have a hard, long night. So with all that being said, I'm going to go Lions. I do think the Commanders cover, though. It opened at 5.5. Now it's all the way up to 9.5. So maybe Vegas knows something we don't, but yeah, I think the Commanders can at least cover because I believe their offense can. I'm not going to say cook the Lions defense, but I think they can give them problems defensively. So I got the Commanders to cover, take the over because this will be an offensive shootout, but the Lions will have the last laugh. We are up until going to Sunday. First game Sunday. The number 2 seed Eagles playing against the Rams. We're in Philly. Who do you have in this one, Lawrence? Philly or LA?
I'm gonna take. I think this is where I launch. I'm kind of fully in with the underdog theme here. I think I'm gonna take the Rams to beat the Eagles because nothing in the Eagles win against the Packers did I feel impressed. It was more so how badly can the Packers beat themselves. So there's one thing I think the Rams are not going to do is beat themselves. Now, if we start watching halfway through the game and then we just see penalty, 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 kind of like we saw against the Vikings, then maybe I'll backtrack on that. But if they can play a little cleaner, I also kind of felt as if some of the penalties that were being called were just a little bit more on the nitpicky side to try to help the Vikings get back into the game. And, like, people are tuning in everywhere, and this has been and we made this Monday night, like we made this the prime time game, and it's blown up in our face. So I'm just gonna put that there. Maybe that's why.
Yep.
Maybe that aided in all the penalties they had called against them. So, but I think I like the Rams. The Eagles' offense just hasn't looked good, and honestly, it was the same thing as last year. Offense gets bad right as the playoffs happen. the only thing carried in that game, the first play of the game, special teams and defense won them that game.
Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna go Eagles in this one. Part of me really wants to take the Rams. I've been preaching, hey, they can make a run. It looks like I even said last episode, this Rams team reminds me of the 2021 Rams. Even though I hate saying that, but they kind of have some of the makings, minus Aaron Donald, of course, but I see a lot of similarities. But Eagles defense has been playing really well all season long. I don't think they missed a beat in any game. They can get to the quarterback. They can stop the run pretty decently. Um, but I think the Eagles. What makes me concerned about the Eagles is, like you said, the offense. Offense didn't look any particularly special against the Packers, and that gives me a little bit of pause. I know Jalen Hurts is coming off a concussion. Honestly, he didn't look like himself, so maybe a second game back, he kind of gets back to the Jalen Hurts that he was, for most of the season. And that's what I'm banking on, Lawrence, is Jalen Hurts coming back to form. He's going to have to play well. Can't turn the ball over because the Rams will be able to capitalize. Matthew Stafford's playing in playoff mode, and I think he's gonna come with it. Now, there's just all comes up to depends on if Jalen Hurts is gonna come with it. Because I know Saquon, he's gonna get his buck. If he wants to run for a $150, 200, he can do that. The offensive line, I think, can move the defensive guys on the Rams, but Jalen Hurts is gonna have to make some plays with his legs and his arms. So I'm gonna go Eagles. Hopefully, I don't regret this one. I think I take the over on this one. I think this turns into a shootout, even though both teams have good defenses. I think there will be mistakes by both quarterbacks. Thus, there will be some points off of turnovers. So I think we take the over on points. And I think the Rams can cover. I think this game comes down to a field goal. So I would take Rams to cover. One more game for Sunday. Number 2 Bills, number 3 Ravens rematch. They played earlier in the season, like week 4 or 5. And yeah, the Ravens they stomped
They
on
put
them
it on them.
Bills. They stomped them. They stomped them out. Who do you have in this one, Lawrence?
I think the Bills get revenge. I think I think as an overall group, I think the Bills are more put together than the Ravens. However, I think the Ravens have been more consistent of a team. In reality, all it really comes down to is who stops whose weapons. And I don't know, just the edge being at home, I'm gonna have to give it to the Bills. I've really got nothing further than just plain old gut feeling. I know
Mm.
the Bills, they just rank middle of the pack in a lot of offensive categories. Third down conversions, they're one of the best, and they're one of the best at getting off on third downs. But then so are the Ravens. It's just vice versa. Both teams are where they at in the playoffs for that said reason. But I think home field advantage is a little slight edge that you just kind of have to give the Bills. And I guess one reason I think the Bills is Josh Allen. He doesn't have like a diva, wide receiver. You know, complaining about his week 1 performance. I didn't get the ball enough to then try to over focus him again in game 2 of the playoffs and then just have a stinker and then get called out publicly after the fact. He doesn't have to worry about that with this team. And it's a flat out great squad that a lot of times are just possession guys who get open.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I
In
think it
this
comes down to
case,
wide receiving groups. And I think I take the Bills over the Ravens.
oh, okay. Especially Zay Flowers is still questionable. They haven't. I don't think his status has been completely set for Sunday, so he's still gonna be at questionable. Probably won't know until Friday at the earliest, probably Saturday. Honestly, probably Saturday morning. Um, they'll probably have that update for everyone. It's honestly a pick me. We can see ESPN basically has it a pick me. My gut, Lawrence, is also telling me to go Bills in this one. So I'm gonna go Bills. I think, like you said, this comes down to who can stop who, and then also just who can make the least amount of turnovers. You know, Lamar doesn't really throw interceptions, but he kind of fumbles the ball here and there. You know, Josh Allen has kind of cleaned up his turnover act, so you can't say Josh Allen is going to do Josh Allen things because he hasn't done that this season. So I think we kind of retired that phrase. Um, so it all comes down to who can take care of the ball and who can stop who. And I just have a little bit more faith in the Bills. I feel like the Bills have slightly better defense overall. I know the Ravens can be had in their secondary, even though um, Humphrey and I think Kyle Van Noy both made the Pro Bowl. So they have some good players on defense, but their secondary can still be had. Um, they didn't look particularly well in that second half when Russ started to cook them. All it took was a couple drives for them to kind of start shaking a little bit. So Josh Allen is definitely a better quarterback than Russ at this point in their respective careers, even though the Bills may not have that much better of a receiving core. Yeah, they have Cooper. Yeah, they have Shakir. But those aren't really household names. But they do work for Josh Allen. There's no divas in the building this time around. James Cook can catch the ball. That other guy that caught that 4th-and-1
Ty
touchdown,
Johnson.
he's a good third down back who can catch the ball out the backfield and apparently can go 30 yards downfield and catch touchdowns in the back of the end zone and stay in bounds. And Josh Allen, honestly, he's had magic all year. I know Lamar has had magic for most of this year as well, but there's just something about the season with Josh Allen. I think this season spells, the spelling out to be, his revenge tour, silence all the doubters, silence all the people that say you can't beat Lamar, you can't beat Patrick Mahomes. I think this is just his year, and he's doing it with less. So I'm gonna go Bills. That's my spiel. I'm gonna go Bills. Take the over.
I like it.
So yeah, that is divisional weekend. Um, we already went over our natty picks. We both had, or you have Notre Dame, I have Ohio State. Are you wavering from that after another day of thought?
No, I'm still more so on Notre Dame. I haven't really wavered too much on it. And honestly, all the hype coming out about Ohio State being a lot of the different guys' picks for the tournament, for the championship, I don't know. It
Yep.
kind of makes me feel a little bit more safe in my Notre Dame thoughts.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm gonna stick with Ohio State. I'm not wavering. Like I said, if Will Howard plays in the lead, or if it's a tie game, I think Ohio State can pull this one off with their defense alone. This is the current books, 8.5 spread, 45.5 over. Remember, this is on Monday, 7:30, so don't miss out on this, guys. Last up, we have the UFC 311, first pay-per-view event of this year, 2025. Lawrence, walk us through 311. Who should we be watching throughout this jam-packed night?
Well, honestly, I think it's odd that Kevin Holland came back and fought so recently after he got like a rib injury.
Yeah.
But from the first prelim to like the last card on the main event, or I think it's just great. I think it's an overall really great fight. Um, I think I start picking it up more so once I see Dawson versus Furia. Um, I think the submission game is going to be at play for this one. And honestly, they're going to feel each other out. It's going to be boring probably for the first round, but then it'll spice up. And I think from that moment on, we're going to see a streak of fights, kind of like we saw in the first fight of the year, or the first card, where we just saw knockout, 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 submission, well, unanimous decision every once in a while. But it was mainly just finishes after finishes. Um, Everyone always wants to put a staple on the season that they're about to have. Everyone wants to be fighter of the year. So we should see a lot of guys come out and just swing for it. Um, I'm going to take Kevin Holland, of course, but he's probably going to lose, so I would just leave that off. Um, and then more money Mikado. You're going to have to take more money Mikado. Um, I think Yuri can take Hill. Honestly, I think we just threw Hill up the chain way too fast. And I think Alex Pereira knocking him out that early in the fight, and after a low blow from him, is just a little bit more telling. Because I think Hill just got a few good, he got a few good wins, and then just got a retrace at the title and just took it. There wasn't much fight against it. Um, I think Dillashaw can actually go and cause some damage to Nurmagomedov, and I'm going to take the Armenian in the main event. I think Islam finally gets his dues. I think Arson gets his revenge, and I think it's going to be a great card. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. We think we should go watch this one. Uh, and if the first card of the year says anything, yeah, these guys are ready to be on it.
Yeah, I think this is jam packed. Like you said, we probably will watch this one. I think this is going to be a fantastic card. I recommend everyone out there to tune into this as well, whether that's through ESPN Plus or some other avenues if you have those. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a great card. Two belts are on the line, so I love to see that. Um, Other than that, guys, I think that's all we got. A little shorter episode. No really NBA news to go over. Our Mason basketball team is currently beating some Dayton ass, 46-32 at this very moment. I think with like 16 minutes left in the second half. So Mason's playing well. Mason also plays Saturday versus, was it JW, right?
Yeah,
Lawrence
GW.
JW. GW. We will be in attendance for that one. I think we're on a roll. Mason looks good. Seems like they found kind of everyone's little niche and what they gotta contribute to the team. So I think we're gonna go on a little run here. What do you think, Lawrence?
I think everything is laid out for them to go on a run. It's just whether or not they will. If they finish this game off against Dayton, then you kind of can say that it's like a changing point in their season. Yeah, what's happened has happened, but the A10 is strong enough where you just straight up win out the A10 outright. Then it bodes well for your, I think, tournament chances. Because I think a straight up A10 champion and then the tournament champion both get in for the A10. And then there's probably one team that floats in as well. It could be a three-team division or conference, sorry.
Yeah, A10 is strong this year. You guys can see we are currently tied with VCU, 3-1 record in the conference. After tonight, it's looking like it's going to be 4-1, so that's very good heading into Saturday's matchup with GW. GW is no slouch either. I think they're playing pretty well. They got 13-3 record, so should be a very, very, very good game. But that's all I got. Lawrence, anything else?
No, that's all I got.
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, we're going to head on out. MTL Sports episode 140. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify, all that good stuff. And we will see you next week. Peace.